Hello everyone, welcome to another STEM challenge, and today actually this is going to be part one of part two. We're doing a big project today, and this is kind of my prototype. There's a few mistakes on this one, which is why I made a prototype. We're going to make a Ferris wheel. We're also going to try to make some seats around it as well. Okay, like I said, this one's the prototype because there's some things on here that I want to change. And we are going to start. So it's going to be two-part. The first part is we're going to make the actual wheel. Okay. And what you're going to need before we start for this are paper tubes. You're going to need quite a few of them. You probably need 12, I'd say about 15 tubes for part one, and maybe another 5 or 6 tubes for part two. But this is part one. You're going to need some tape. You'll need some cardboard if you have it, which would be, you just need small pieces. And I think that's about it. And a ruler and a pencil. Oh, and also a piece of paper. But as we move along, if there's something you need, and I forgot to mention it, you can always stop the video or pause it and get what you need. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to start my timer. Now, first thing you need to do is make a couple of circles. And I'm just going to reach for this. And here is the cardboard that I used. And I actually used my roll of tape. So all I did was I picked a spot and I just drew a couple of circles. And this seemed to be a good size for what the one I was making. It's about 10 centimeters in diameter. And so roll of tape, maybe a peanut butter jar lid, anything that's round and approximately that size. Okay, and that's all I did. And I just cut them out. And then what I did is I needed to find the middle. And it's very hard to find the center on a circle after you cut it, because there's nothing in the middle to show you where to put your ruler. So what I did was I just took a piece of paper and I put whatever I used to trace the circle on the piece of paper, and it could be a scrap piece. This is a recycled piece, and it could be a new piece of newspaper as well. What I did was I traced it. Okay, and now I only had a circle. I still was trying to figure out how do I get the middle. All you do is fold the circle in half once, and that gets you your diameter line. And if you fold it again, now you have the middle. And then if you open it up like this and put it over top of your circle after you cut it out, and you poke a hole through the middle, and there you have your circle. Okay, and then you need 2 of those, one for each side of our Ferris wheel. Now, with that circle, or those 2 circles, what we're going to make is we're going to make 2 of these. And as you can see, there is lots of tape on here. I put 2 layers on, but we're going to go through a little bit of that. And we have our hole in the middle. Hole is a little bigger than just a pencil hole, but we'll talk about that in a second as well. But this is what we're making 2 of these. So I've made 1 already. And don't forget, if there's somewhere you have to catch up, pause the video, stop the video, and then catch up, because this is a big project. And like I said, it's going to be in 2 parts. Now, on my circle, what I've done, I have the luxury of owning a protractor to measure angles. And if you do happen to have one, or somehow you can print off 60 degrees, then it would be in your best interest to divide your circle up into 60-degree increments. Okay, because that's what the angle is for each one. If you don't, that's fine. You can just line it up as best you can, because we're going to have 6 pieces, and I'll talk about that in a second again. Okay, because we're going to have 6 arms to our Ferris wheel. And if you can somehow make each section 60 degrees or close to it, that would be great. But you can just eye it up, and that's fine, because as long as you know that we need 6, you can lay them out a little bit or draw a line on your circle, and once you have it kind of figured out, that's fine. If it's a little off, that's okay. It won't really matter. And what we also do is draw our lines out in our 6 different directions, okay, as we do our angles, because when you draw one line you can measure your angles. So then you need to draw your lines all the way out, and even if they're a little off, that's okay, and you can erase them a little bit if you think it's a little off. And once you get your lines drawn, then what you should do, and this is a recommendation, is measure out from the middle 1 centimeter and make a little mark. Measure out 1 centimeter. So you're going to be doing this before you make a big hole through the middle. Okay, I'll show you on the white piece of paper. So when I have my lines drawn out like this, okay, you're going to measure out 1 centimeter and make a mark on each line. 1 centimeter, make a mark on each line, because this is how far in we want to come with our rolled paper, our 6 pieces of rolled paper that are going to be part of our Ferris wheel, the wheel portion. And that's what we're going to do. So then you know that when we put our paper on, it's only going to come to that line. It just makes it easier. You don't have to guess then when you do it after. And then after you've drawn your lines and make your little marks 1 centimeter in, and then we start putting on our paper rolls. And you're going to need 12 paper rolls. And I've made these 14 centimeters long. And how I chose that, I don't know. It just ended up being that size. It just seemed to work out okay. 14 or 15 centimeters seems to be a good size, right? And what you need to do when before you start putting the paper on, before you start putting the rolls on, is make a hole in the middle. So you're going to make a hole in the middle based on your piece of paper, right? We've done that already. You put a hole right there, and then you need to make the hole bigger. So you push your pencil all the way through, because what we need to do is we need to try to fit one of our tubes in, our paper tubes. And after you put a pencil through like this, odds are it won't go through. What you need to do is slowly twist the pencil a little bit like this to make it a little bigger, and then you can see if it fits, and that one fits okay. These fit just right. So we're good to go. Right? Now, I'm assuming you've cut your pieces already. You've probably stopped the video. And all you do is go on the line that you've drawn and go up to the line, and then you put your tape on. Sometimes it's easier to put a piece of tape on the end first and then put your piece on like this. And now we're going to go back to our pencil technique, where we use the pencil to kind of poke through like that, and then poke through this side. I think I have it even. Yes, I do. Okay, there we go. Now, put another piece on close to the edge and do the same thing. Use your pencil, like this. Poke it through. Now we're going to do the other side. Next one. I have a whole bunch of tape lined up ready to roll. And I hope I'm not moving too fast for you. I just know time will be tight with this one, even if we're doing 2 parts. So I'm putting more tape on now, going to this, and I want to put I want to put 2 pieces on each one because I want to make it pretty solid, so it holds really, really well. The last thing I want is for our Ferris wheel to come apart at the wheel part. This is the trickiest part here. You might need someone to help you hold it down, and this tape's just a little long, but that's okay. We can just push the pieces down and work it around. And now I need one more on the edge. So when you're done, you're actually almost covering the whole circle with tape. It looks that way anyway. Okay, there we go. So now we have 2. And these are going to face inside towards each other. And this is going to be the basis for our wheel, the wheel part of our Ferris wheel. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do the next part. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to take one piece and I'm going to put it in already. And I know it's going to be too long, and that's wrong. That's okay. We'll probably end up cutting it almost at the very end because we have to figure out how we're going to turn this. And the next part is, and this is where you might need some help, is we're going to put our pieces across the ends, right? And now I actually wrote on these how long I made them. I made them 8 centimeters, and I just based this on my prototype, the distance across. It seemed like a good distance, so that's what I'm using for mine. You can make yours a little skinnier, you can make it a little bigger. It's entirely up to you. Okay, you can go 10 centimeters, you can go 12 centimeters. If you find that it's a little too long, a little too short, take them off and just make new ones. Okay, so these are 8 centimeters long. And what I'm going to do is, well, look at that. If I shake my table, I know it'll come off. I'm going to put 2 pieces on like this on the ends. And the way I want to put it on is I want to put it on top. I don't want to put it on the edge. I want to put it on top. And then I just roll my tape down like that. And this one too, it looks it's a little off. You don't want to twist these. You want to just, however they fit, that's how they go on. Okay, there's our, you could make it a little wider. Maybe that's a little too narrow. That's okay. Won't matter. And now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to put, so if you see, again, I'm putting it on the top part. I'm not sliding it on the inside. I'm putting it on the top. That's just so it makes it just a little stronger. You can try it the other way if you want to. It really doesn't matter, I don't think. And now I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to do all of them because this is something I have not done ahead of time. I think I'm going to probably need to tear some more tape. And this may take a little time to do this part of it, because one thing you have to remember is I pre-made my wheels, and I actually cut all my paper tubes ahead of time for this part of the project, or this part of the challenge. I'm gonna open it up a little more. Yeah, it looks good so far. A little twisty. And another one. We're gonna have 6 in total. 6, and these are 8 centimeters wide. Like I said, you can make it wider. I wouldn't go any skinnier or any narrower though, or thinner. Wider might be good. When we're all done, we might decide that it should have been wider, and oh well. All right, it's all prototyping, and that's okay. So we go with that one more, down like this, and yes, I'm going to need 2 more pieces of tape. It does go quicker if you take your pieces of tape ahead of time. and put them on the side of the table where you're working. I'll do 2 more pieces right now. And we're going at a good pace here. That's good. And this one is much more square than my first one. My first one was a little crooked. I didn't take enough time putting my my tubes on my circles. I think I went a little too quick. And I noticed that they twisted a little and it wasn't quite centered. Okay, there we go. Now, we look good. Yep. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And what we can do already, because it's going to be like this anyway, we can see where it looks about the right distance, and we can actually tape the sides, because this whole thing is going to move. Okay, the whole shaft is going to move, and I think I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to put some tape on, and if you want, you can cut another 8cm piece just to see if the distance is right or correct, and it looks pretty good. So I'm just double checking all around that my width is good. And this is actually going to be tricky, because you want to make sure that you don't move it when you put the tape on, because then you'll change. I think that should be okay. We have to, and it has to try to make it, I think we need smaller pieces of tape. You have to try to make it so it's flat on the edge. Okay, because we're going to have, something's going to go over top of this. And I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully we won't have problems when we do it. If we do, well, then we have to fix it, right? And now we're going to go on this side. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to hold on to it here. And you can put a whole bunch of small pieces on. Doesn't really matter how you do this, as long as we try to get it as flat to the circle as we can. All right, and it's looking pretty good. I'm going to turn it this way. Might be easier. Go like this. Put it a little too far up. I don't have much tape on the circle. Yeah, that's better. Right. And then when we build the rest of it, you might have to put a little more tape on. If you're lucky and you have a glue gun at home, you can always put a dab of glue gun or glue on this as well, just to hold it in one spot. But be really careful, just in case we have to, it has to change at some point. Okay, there we go. Looks like we're it's fairly straight. A couple of them are a little crooked, but I think that's just the way the paper is. Might not be a completely smooth ride for whoever's riding on these. So there we go. This is our part 1 for our Ferris wheel. We're all set to go. Now we just need to put the frames up, mount it on some cardboard, and put our little baskets of some kind on it. That will be an interesting challenge. Okay. So thanks for joining us for part 1, and we'll see you tomorrow for part 2.